Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate the big
Hey,
crowd we have. This is an exciting event. My name is Michael
hello.
Seni with Togal, and I brought along with me Daryna. We're both going to take a moment to introduce ourselves and kind of dive into this drywall assembly function we built out here. So, for those who do not know me, I am the head of customer success here at Togal. Most of my time I'm spent partnering with customers and ensuring they're maximizing the fullest potential of our software. But before joining Togal, I was actually an estimator like many of you. I spent 7 years in the South Florida market, working in the pre-construction side of GCs. The start of my career was really focused on like TI and commercial renovation work. Then from there, I joined another GC, kind of focused more on historical renovation work. We did like garden style apartments, large high rise structures. So I know the pains and the day to day process we go through as estimators.
Yeah, and about me, hi everyone, I'm Daryna and I'm product manager at Toggle. And I look after the drywall side of the product. That means assemblies, the resources library, the expert, and the AI work that sits on top of them. Practically, my job is to sit with drywall estimators, watch how a bit actually gets built, and then make Toggle fit that instead of the other way around.
Yes, it's been incredible what we've been able to build out here. And for those who've never seen Toga before, too, just to give you guys the TLDR, we are a online cloud-based takeoff software. Our goal is to focus at helping you maximize your time in the quantity extraction process, and we have AI that assists you along the way. And so today we're going to talk and do a deep dive into what is our new drywall assembly and the benefit of this function and how it's going to help accelerate your estimating department to another level. Uh, as we know as estimators, when we're doing drywall takeoff, it may seem simple at a high level, right? We may be looking at plans, just doing a linear footage of a wall, but there's many more components and materials that actually tie into that. And with a drywall assemblies, you're actually able to go in there now and actually extract information like your studs, your top plates, the square footage of drywall sheeting you may have, insulation, mud, screws, you name it. You can tie in pricing, you can calculate man hours associated with it. You can go ahead and make assumptions of how much equipment you may need, if that's scaffolding, lifts, whatever it might be. And so the goal here is to continue help elevating and maximizing that time that estimators spend on that quantity extraction process. And we'll make it smooth and painless for you to get those material values so that you can easily transfer it to your estimating product or your Excel sheet, whatever it may be.
Yeah, exactly. And why we basically like relaunching them and rather than just leave assemblies as they were. And the honest answer is that for a long time, assemblies were all input and no output. So you could build a beautiful library, apply it to your takeoff, and then still not get a usable file out of the other end. So people rebuild it in Excel anyway. And that's the duplicate work Mike just described, and we were a part of the problem as well. So in June, we shipped the bill of material layer, and that's what closed the loop. So grouping by classification, height, and material, aggregation across classifications, your SKU and cost cut columns, a column per formula as well. That's the piece that makes everything upstream worth doing. And since we shifted, the number of companies actually exporting bills of materials out of Toggle has roughly doubled. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah. Well, so if you guys are interested in seeing more and learning about the assemblies on your guys' project, please feel free to reach out to one of our sales rep if you're a new user, or if you're an existing user, feel free to reach out to your CSM. We're very happy to get to show you it live on your drawings and working with you and showing the true benefit of the assemblies. But we're going to stop talking and actually start showing off what this assemblies looks like for you guys. So here we go. As I was saying earlier, right, with a lot of traditional takeoff softwares, they'll have the ability to create maybe custom formulas and go in there and allow you to calculate things like your sheets, like your studs, and screws, whatever it might be. But these are just formulas. It's the same thing that we could reproduce in Excel. But there's some customization that needs to go through it while you're actually doing takeoff on a project. And we're going to dive into a few examples of how we've really catered this assembly function so that you can have that control and that level of customization as you need. But a simple takeoff is quite simple, right? We look for the wall tag, we see it's E.1. I can create a classification, which is basically the polygons we use here in Togal. I can activate it and come in here and trace out the wall. And a high level function, you're gonna look at me going, okay, cool, thanks, you got the linear footage of my wall, but we need more than that. And I 100% agree with you. And that's why we built this assemblies. As we know, we need to cross-reference what our wall types are. And this is where that breakdown occurs here, right? So that E-point wall we originally built out, well, there's many different components that tie into that. There's our top plates, our bottom plates, the drywall board area, the mud, like I was saying earlier. And this all lives here on the drawings. So how do we incorporate this into Togal? You basically just head over to your library and you can start building this assembly out right here. So we're going to go ahead and create a new assembly. I'm going to show you how beneficial this is. So to get started, we can give it a simple name. In my case, I'm just going to call it E.1 wall, right? If you guys want to use an internal name, you can go ahead and do that. If you have an internal ID structure, you can apply that here in a description if you would like. But this is where it really starts to get juicy, because you'll notice here, this is where you actually get to add in the components of that wall itself. So we can start with something as simple as our top plate. You're going to go ahead and add that actual top plate to your assembly. And what you'll see over here is there's a 3D preview showing what type of wall you're building along the way. And what's really powerful here in Togal is that we understand that there's components, the basic fundamentals of a wall, but there's also a connection to the material type being specified, right? If you're doing metal gauge studs, you would want to use that material versus a 2x4. In my case, my walls are 2x4s. So when I start adding these actual components, I can select the materials that are associated with that. So I can actually come here and choose out what material I need, click add, and then that will now go ahead and assign the material here. And the reason these materials are beneficial is that within each material, you can set custom formulas or properties associated with it. So if I wanted to customize this a step further, or when I actually build out a material component, you have the ability to add like organizational information. You can come here and add cost to it. You can add waste factors in particular to just that one material type, the properties, etc. And the whole idea of these materials is that you can easily just assign it to the component you need. So that same material that we may use for our studs or our top plates can also be applied to the bottom plate. There's no limitation with it. And so the idea here is that these components come preloaded with basic formulas for you too. So you'll notice that when I selected my top plate in this case, it's asking me like, how many top plates do I have? In my case, if I go back to that preview, I see there's 2. So I can go ahead and add 2. What is the standard length? How do you buy your wood? That's basically the question, right? 10-foot, 12-foot lengths. So you kind of get to pick and choose what you want. And you'll notice is that there's a formula here that auto-populates along the way too. So in our case, we're actually counting how many top plates you would need in this instance. And the goal here is that you just continue progressing forward. All right, we're going to do our bottom plate. And again, it's previewing everything we'll need. I can come in here and call it my 2x4s again. And in my case, it's saying that the 2x4 studs is E.1, which is correct. And on the second to fourth floor is a double sill. So in my case, it's only a single sill. So I don't have to stress about that in the moment. I can do 1. Oop. And I can also do 10 again. And now we're actually putting together our wall. And again, as I was saying earlier, the nice thing is this 3D previews and keep on working with you. So as you add in your studs, again, I'll go ahead and preview it. If you choose wood or metal, actually update the coloring to reflect something that's more geared towards the type of specific material. And then we get to add in those components. Our stud spacing is 16 inches. The stud length, again, we're going to have 10. If you want to add additional functions like additional studs per corner, intersections, openings, you can add in those properties. I'm not going to use in this instance, but you can customize it as you need. And the idea is you're actually building this wall. You're going to take it all the way through and through. So how does this work with your takeoff? Well, basically, when we are doing the lineal foot tracing of a wall, we have the ability now to apply that assembly. Because the idea is that a wall, E.1, is synonymous, right? It can be used in any job. It can be used in any location. The definition of E.1 depends on your project itself. So once you do have a library of assemblies ready to go, you just come back to the project, go to your assemblies, click here to add this assembly, and you select it, right? I didn't save the last one because I've already pre-built it, but I click apply, done. And all those components that we initially built out and are part of this wall assembly now exist with this classification. So now anytime I'm doing my takeoff here in Togal, if I go ahead and keep on extending and tracing those walls, the only thing I need to be concerned about is setting the height, right? And just capturing that the E.1 wall is in the correct location. It's as easy as that. And what's really powerful in Togal too is now you get to see all these pieces come together and all these different functions we have. So as I mentioned earlier, we're an AI takeoff software, and we have something incredible to show you guys. And that is our focus mode here in Togal. So the idea here of the focus mode is a AI engine dedicated for drywall-based takeoffs. And as we know, for drywall contractors, one of the things we have to go through is actually determining our wall types. Is it an E.1? Is it an A wall, a D.1, whatever it may be. Now all I have to do is click go and just go ahead and let the AI run. And instead of me having to go ahead and trace out each wall one by one, the AI is going to do that for me. It's actually going to come in here, scan the drawing, and as long as the information is clear on the drawings, right, that's the $1,000,000 question, it will go ahead and assign that wall type to that linear classification. But you, the user, still have the control here to reassign, customize those assemblies, etc. as you need. And while this is loading real quick, the other thing I want to point out is that when you guys do purchase the assembly function, you actually get a library or a template ready to go from the get-go. So we went ahead and spoke with customers. Daryna's been speaking with them and understanding like what are the most common types of walls that are being specified on a project. And we have this whole library pre-built for all users to come in here, and you can easily duplicate or you can utilize it. And now you can just go ahead and massage and change this information as you need. Again, all the formulas, components, materials are built out for you, trying to make this as smooth as possible. Now, if we jump back to that page. While that's loading, I'll go ahead and kind of show you guys what a final takeoff will look like. So basically, the idea is like once you've gone ahead and ran the AI output, you're going to be able to easily just grab walls in bulk, and you can right click and reassign it to that D.1 wall, for example. And then from there, when you do run building that classification with those assemblies, that's how we're actually going to go ahead and start calculating those quantities for you. All right, I'm gonna let that run. And so the goal is once you do finish your takeoff here in Togal, you're going to click here on the export to Excel function. And this is now where you get to start to massage and prepare your data for exporting to Excel. So what you're going to want to do is basically enable the assembly mode. And then this will bring in all those components and materials that we were specifying a second ago. So as you guys can see for the A-type walls that we built out earlier, I went ahead and set like I need 2x4 studs, 5/8 type X gypsum boards. And those formulas that we assigned during the assembly process, you can actually see here the calculation coming at once. And the idea is that once you finalize building your assemblies and assigning your walls, you simply click here on the Excel button, click download, and then this will go ahead and generate an Excel report that you can start to plug and play into your estimating template. I know there's some questions that have come in, so I want to go ahead and just get back to those real quick. One question is, how long does it usually take the AI to scan a plan normally? It depends. Great question. If you have a lot of wall tags and have a lot of different like walls being specified, it can take a couple minutes. Sometimes it could be quicker. It really just depends on how it is. Would this work for metal framing? If you were considering metal framing in a typical like drywall partition, yes, this would work the same, right? When you're actually building out those assemblies itself, you're able to go in there and specify the different material types that are being there. When does this become available? Kyle, great news, it is already available. You can go ahead and reach out to a sales rep if you're a new user, or if you're an existing user, you have your customer success manager you can reach out to, and they're happy to, again, do a live demonstration, show you the product, and how you can start accessing that. Does assembly function also encompass floor assemblies? No, so the assembly function here is specified for drywall first, basically. So I'm going to say no. Right, there's custom formulas and things like that you can use in Togal. This drywall assembly package is designed and dedicated for drywall trade at the moment. When I create an assembly for a project, can I use the same assembly in another project? Yes, that's a great question. You actually can. So the assemblies are in a library, right? And so I didn't show you guys getting into the weeds of it, but you can edit that assembly within that particular project, and it lives there, right? Your library is kind of your baseline item that you're going to utilize. Ahmed, do I need to buy the assembly mode? Depends on your contract. Most likely, yes, you will. And again, you can reach out to a sales rep if you're a new user, and they'll include it in the contract, or reach out to your customer success manager, and they can just start discussing that with you. And then Cameron, how does this work for floor, ceiling assemblies, area takeoffs? Again, kind of tying back to that previous question, The assembly function here is designed for drywall based takeoffs. So, we can do ceilings, of course, and we can do walls. When it comes to things like floorings or joists or whatever, those are other functions that we're working towards supporting in the future. So as you guys can see from the workflow, from just doing a simple takeoff, right, tracing line, footage of walls and going there and actually like just doing simple takeoff that we do day in and day out, you're able to maximize the quantity extraction process you need with this assembly function. The idea here is that you can go in there, you have that linear footage of walls, but it's running multiple formulas in the back end and compiling all the different materials you need. And the best part is that exporting function, I didn't even dive into that. It's like one of my favorite things. There's so many different ways you can massage this data here. You can group it based on the assembly. You can group it based on the materials. Like what's the total 2x4s you need? Maybe what's the total 5/8 type X gypsum boards you need across the board. And the whole idea is that you're able to actually get the total quantity of information that you need out of Togal while doing your takeoffs day in, day out. I know there was one question about, do you have to upgrade all seats or can you upgrade selective seats? Again, reach out to your customer success manager or the sales rep, and they're more than happy to dive into that with you. What about suspended jib type or jib grids? Yes, right. We've designed Togal and the assembly function to focus on anything in the drywall scope of work. So it could be a suspended jib grid. It can also be a standard ceiling that's screwed in place, right? You're able to go in there and get those formulas and functions that you may need. Matthew, can I create custom assemblies for concrete, steel, etc.? Unfortunately, not at this time. The assemblies were developed and designed for drywall-based takeoff. There's more to come, and that's one thing Daryna is going to be going forward with. You guys are going to see more announcements coming with our assembly package in the future to support more trades in the future. And how many times does the drywall carpentry package include ceilings? Can you do acoustical? Yes. Again, as long as it's a typical drywall scope of work item, right? That's almost similar to a drip grid ceiling, right? It could be acoustical ceiling tiles. You're going to be able to go in there and build out those assemblies. Damon, I love the question. Does it detect corners? And there was like corner beads that came out. I saw the messages here. Yeah, that's a great question. Daryna, if you want to dive into that, I'm open to bring you in. But that is like the next big thing we're doing with AI.
Yeah, exactly. Great question, because this is something that we just soft launched for a small cohort of our organization. And this is exactly the AI corner detection. So we detect both inside and outside corners. So after you can use them in assemblies and calculate your corner bits material in an easier way. So yes, it will be available soon for all 100% of customers.
I see there's a question about reading specifications. Yes. So I'm trying to figure out the best way. We have something called Togal Chat here in Togal, right? Which is an AI LLM that will go ahead and scan the drawings, read the notes and details in your project, and allow you to actually have a conversation with your documents. Is it going to read the specifications and build your assemblies? I'm going to leave that up to Daryna. But the idea here is that you are able to have a conversation with your documents, and like you can extract the context clues and information that may be specified in those documents.
Yeah, and about this and regarding the assembly specifically. So as I told in the beginning, we spend plenty of times with our customers, and we know how sometimes can be painful to create those assemblies and bring everything that you have in the specification into the system. So that's why we are currently cooking our new AI assemblies functionality, where exactly AI can read this information instead of you, and you will just need to verify it and click on the save button, and that's it. Also will be available soon, so follow us in LinkedIn and all our news there.
Just so you guys know, this is not the end of like the assembly functionality and what we can do. There's so much more already cooking in the kitchen that you guys are going to see soon, and like we can't wait to keep on expanding on this. I see someone asked about, can Togal work with metric drawings? Absolutely. There's no way we could be the quickest, fastest, best takeoff tool if we didn't support metric. We love everyone around the world. We have both metric and imperial support. It looks like it's mainly for walls. Can I change and add materials like aluminum cladding and insulation as well? Yes. Yeah. The whole idea, it is designed for drywall based takeoff, right? Or walls. So if you have a CMU block wall, right, we can go ahead and give you that linear footage of that wall. You can do a custom format, kind of calculate how many blocks you would need. The idea again is to use it to get like your furring strips and the insulation or the insulation square footage in that, like your drywall layer. But you could easily tweak those formulas a little bit for more aluminum cladding, depending on how you do that takeoff. Uh, is RC channels and hat channel corner beads add as the assemblies page? Yes. Yep. That's where you'll build that in. When you're actually building out the assemblies in your library, that's where you'll customize the material that you're looking for. And again, kind of customizing those formulas for that. Does this or will be able to include control joints and JIP? It's a great question, Thomas. I mean, it's similar to doing a grid system. So I would say yes, right? Because you would just have to kind of control how those joints are running in the JIP board itself. Um, but if you can calculate the same way you would calculate a grid, I don't see how we wouldn't be able to get you those calculations. If we're going off a frame support system for metal insulated panels, can the panels be added in the quantities provided instead of JIP? Yes. So Ellen, again, kind of very similar to the aluminum wall panel question I was just asked. If we're treating it like a JIP board calculation, there are ways that we can go there and calculate it. If it's different cladding systems incorporated, then unfortunately not, right? It's not like you're gonna be able to go in there because if you've got aluminum cladding, you're kind of piecemealing different puzzle pieces along the wall, right? And if you think about a wall linear foot line, there's no way to actually change it physically in our assembly function to like this section of that wall is this and that. You might be able to get away with it with an area polygon on an elevation plan, but from like a standard wall based takeoff, unfortunately at the moment, again, it's more geared towards that drywall assembly focused mindset. I love the questions. This is great. Does this new wall feature system also include shaft wall systems besides? Dom, absolutely, right? A shaft wall is going to basically be a one-sided partition wall. So you're going to go in there and maybe grab an item from the library. You would just probably modify it where instead of having like one layer on each side, you would just go ahead and calculate it where it's just one layer on one side of the wall. But everything else, the core components of a shaft wall are very similar to a standard partition. It's just you have less drywall and less insulation probably in that wall itself. Perfect. And I guess, Daryna, how can customers start to help you out too? Like, what are other ways they can collaborate with us and continue improving the assembly function?
Amazing question, Mike. So, yeah, and this is basically the main idea that we built for estimators with estimators. And that's why we are always in continuous discovery mode. So we would like to have a session with you and talk about what's working, what you had to work around, and what's still keeping a spreadsheet open next to Toggle. So we're running more user interviews specifically for drywall trades, but more for framing as well. So, and if you'd like to be in one, just reach out to your CSM guy or to sales and ask to be included into our pipeline. We'll schedule a call and we'll have a nice talk.
Another thing we do too to help customers really start taking advantage of the assembly function quickly and efficiently is that we can partner with you and actually upload your existing library of assemblies, maybe from plans or from an Excel document, from another takeoff software, and we can upload that into Togal with you. Our team of CSMs and product specialists will actually partner with you and trying to get a breakdown of that material and the typical calculations that you need because every business is going to be slightly different. And we want to get that into the product as quick as possible. Of course, from day one, you do have that template ready to go. You can go ahead and start doing takeoffs with those templates and modifying those formulas with ease. But we also will go down that route and partnering with you to make that transition seamless almost for the team itself. There's many other powerful things here in Togal we haven't touched on. I know we talked about being a cloud-based platform, but one of the other things that users love is that you have collaboration here. You can see how this can definitely streamline a business because this library of assemblies and functions all live in one organization. So you have a team of 5 estimators, everyone's using the same assemblies. There's no like miscommunication going on, right? There's no like, okay, maybe Daryna's running a formula one way, I'm doing another way. We're getting to the end number. It's just confusing, creates panic in the team or frustration, right? Everyone's following the same logic, the same language, etc. And so you're able to actually work together as one unified force. Are there any roundup parameters for formulas? Absolutely. We have roundup formulas with our custom formulas, Damon. So you can come in here and actually have it round up or round down as you need when you're doing any calculation. It's just part of the custom formula function. When you're typing it in there, we have a function called roundup you can utilize. And as a reminder, again, if you are interested in seeing more of this, wanting to partner with or see how it's going to work on your projects, we do highly recommend that you reach out to our sales team. They love doing live demonstrations. We'll show you in real time how the AI, this assembly function will work together. In addition to, if you're an existing user and you're interested in incorporating this in your business, please feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. We have documentation and can answer standard questions ready from the get-go. And again, we'll set up a live demonstration with you and show you how this assembly function can benefit your team. Z King, great name. Can we use Togal.AI in New Zealand? Absolutely. We are available worldwide. There is no limitation to where you want to use Togal. And we do support both metric and imperial takeoff measurements. Oof, not takeoffs. Can your AI automatically extract and interpret data like room sizes instead of performing a civil takeoff to design fire and security systems using? Unfortunately not, right? The AI is here to actually do takeoff based off of the information that's being provided on your drawing. So it's not going to go ahead and connect the dots for you automatically. This is where we say AI is a co-pilot in construction, right? Unfortunately, drawings are designed by human. And what makes us special as estimators is that we actually go in there and have done this for so long, we're able to make assumptions and ensure we're capturing the full scope of work, regardless of what's said on the drawings. And this is what I always want to talk about with people. AI will always get you maybe from step A to Y, and that final leap to Z is where you're going to go in there and do that critical thinking process. You're going to be the one reviewing what is the height of a wall, right? We will eventually have the AI be able to build the assembly for you. Now the user is just responsible for determining like what the height is, and that height information is spread out across 3 different drawings. It could be the RCP, it could be a section detail, or it could be like a room schedule, right? Those are the things that you also have to dive into as a user. John, are there any plans for making this feature work with Edify? Great question. Yes, we are currently expanding our partnership with Edify. And at the moment, for those who do not know, we have a integration where Togal can feed its information into Edify itself, which is an estimating platform. All right. Any other questions? Can we include the hardware, labor, and other different line items into the assemblies? Absolutely. So when you do have your assemblies, what you'll see here, let me bring it back up. You have the ability to come in here and like choose like equipment or labor within that assembly itself. So you can actually go in there and like set those up. I was just trying to show the importance of the components, but you can go ahead and set those different line items as you need. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with everyone. Love the questions today. Again, if you guys do ever have any questions, want to see a live demonstration of this, please feel free to reach out to one of our sales rep and we'll do a live demonstration with your drawings. and show you how you can maximize Toggle itself and the assembly function. And those existing users who are interested in incorporating this into your workflow, by all means, feel free to reach out to your customer success manager. They're happy to walk through with this with you and kind of show you how you can continue maximizing more advancements that we're doing here. It's been an absolute pleasure showing off the tool and the feature. We hope you guys are excited and start incorporating this into your business very soon.